Beautiful people, welcome back to Organizing an ADHD Brain, where the perfect place to start is right where you are. I'm your host, Megs Crawford. I'm a professional organizer, an ADHD coach, and a fellow work in progress. Because let's be honest, we're all work in progress. This season 3, we're talking about the messy middle. Not about the before, not about the after, but all of the stuff that comes in between. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff that comes in between that perfect before and after picture. So let's jump right in. Hey, I had a whole other episode planned for today, and I just hit record, and there's something else I really want to talk about because I realized we are already into the month of November, and likely a lot of you have already started to purchase Christmas presents or holiday presents, whatever holiday you celebrate presents, and you're really excited. That is something that I always loved to do, was purchasing Christmas presents for everyone in my family. And this is a key time where we get really dysregulated. We go into fight or flight brain because, well, we start to ignore our finances because that can be overwhelming and we don't want to stop ourselves from actually purchasing the things we want. Why would we do that? But then in addition to that, we start to tell ourselves that we need to buy enough or it needs to be perfect for our kids. And we think that stuff is what is going to do it for them. We stop thinking about our clutter and how it can be impacting literally everything in our life, including us living a full life. And we just think about what we've done always. I want you to think about this episode. Take it with a grain of salt. What I say today is going to mean something different for each and every one of you listening. And that's good because each and every one of us are so different in the journey that we're on, in the clutter that we have, and in the goals that we want to achieve. But I want to help you make another full decision as you're thinking about the holiday season. Because this is another place where we start to take, like 10 steps back when it comes to our clutter journey, because we are so concerned with making the perfect holiday. We try to do everything. We try to achieve everything. We try to buy everything. I have gone into so many homes as a professional organizer and found Amazon boxes that were never opened. I found presents that were forgotten about, things that we spent money on that were never delivered to the person they were intended for because it's ultimately something that we forgot about, something that we thought was the greatest idea. We want to fill our people's lives up with so much. But then it doesn't necessarily happen that way. The reason why we forget about these things is because we go and we purchase something really easily, maybe on Amazon or another place with 2-day shipping that makes it very convenient. We don't open it right away because we're like, well, I'll get to it when I'm ready to wrap presents. And then finally, when we're ready to wrap presents, it's so overwhelming because we forget where we put everything. We've got so much stuff already that it's hard to even find anything, and things are bound to get lost. I've also gone through so many people's homes who have found presents that they've been gifted that they've never used. And we don't know what to do with them because now it's this whole people-pleasing thing. And we're like, well, this person gave me this candle and I want to keep the candle, but do you even like the candle? Are you going to smell the candle? And have you smelt it? Is it even something that you will ever burn in your life? There are so many decisions that we have to make around the holiday season. So naturally, we are going to get overwhelmed by the amount of stuff coming at us, right? Having to buy presents and having to figure out which holidays we're going to attend and which we're not going to attend, which events we're going to go to, all of the things that we have to do for our kids, like school events and school parties and buying this and buying that. There's so much that comes into play. I'm going to challenge you this year to make a full decision on the stuff that's coming into your house. A couple weeks ago, I talked about making full decisions on the things leaving your home or the things staying. Where do they go? How do I decide that they're there? Now we're going to make some full decisions on the stuff coming into your home because we often don't think about that until we get to the point where we're like, holy smokes. I helped one of my clients clear out one of their doom boxes over the summer. And in that doom box that was sitting in the living room were Christmas presents. So many Christmas presents that had been forgotten about because there were so many other things that were gotten. They were super cool things. And because there was so much, it got shoved in the bottom of the box and forgotten about because there were other things that took up their life, which is so interesting because there are endless amounts of really cool freaking things in this world. really cool things that you can do, really cool things that you can play with, really cool things that you can buy, cool hobbies to try, things that will make your brain go, ooh, I'd much rather do this than pay my bills. So many things for us to get excited about. And if we tried to do them all, that would be too overwhelming. I'm not prescribing what you do next. And I will tell you, if you continue to live your life trying to do and achieve everything, it's going to be very difficult for you to live a life that feels peaceful. And what's interesting is when we think about the life we want with less clutter and less stuff, the life we want is more peaceful. Whatever we're trying to get to, whether it's living a life in a van or downsizing to a tiny home, or maybe I just want to live a life where there's not clutter everywhere, or maybe I want a perfectly manicured basement with like a built-in organizing bin thing that has everything labeled perfectly and meticulously, and I can show it off on Pinterest and on Instagram. Maybe I become an influencer, right? Like there's so many things, but in the end, what we are seeking is peace. What we are seeking is calm. What we are seeking is ease. But what we do is we continue to live these lives that we've always lived, and we continue to do things the same way that we've always done them. And then we expect things to be different. Didn't Einstein say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? I love that example though, because we're like, why can't things change? I wish things could change, but then they don't change because we haven't changed. Our beliefs haven't changed. The actions we take haven't changed. It's not because we don't want it. Trust me, I get it. ADHD prevents us from being able to do so much, but that's because we want all of it all at once. We can have all of it. We just can't have it all at once. Not until we start to build the systems in, and I don't know, sometimes the word systems even annoys me, but it's not until we start to make one change that we can start to prove to ourselves that we can do it, to fuel the belief that people with ADHD can actually be organized so that we can see this evidence. So we can start to build off of that and say, okay, cool. Now that I've done this, I can start to build off of this. And we learn things about ourselves because we are making this change. But when we get out of our comfort zone, we feel uncomfortable. So how do I make a full decision on the things coming into my home? First, I encourage you to set a budget, not because it's restrictive, but it actually is empowering. It gives you the flexibility to know that this money is and should be spent on Christmas or whatever holiday, because this is what makes sense for you. And you can do it in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. You're not going to add to the debt. This is the amount of money that you have decided makes sense for you. If you've never set up a budget and this feels so exhausting to you, don't. You get to make that decision right now. That is not a prerequisite. It's just a recommendation based on how money and the way that we spend and our clutter all adds up. It's all part of the ADHD tax, if you will. Understand what you want to spend. That's going to help you kind of put it in a container. You get to decide how much you're going to spend, but then that money dictates how much is coming into your home. And that could be spent on a lot of little items. It could be spent on like one big item, maybe even go away for the holidays. Cool. Make a decision. But that is a really good first step and one that I recommend doing. Number 2, make a list. Some of us are going to be like, yes, I love to make lists, and let me make all the lists because I love lists. And then we start making a list and we're like, oh my gosh, I need to buy for my spouse and I need to buy for my kids. And then what about my in-laws? And then what about my parents? And then am I buying things for my siblings this year? Am I buying things for their kids? What about the teachers? And what about this? And what about that? Yeah, that's overwhelming. And based on your budget, what can you actually do this year? And what if you allowed that to be okay? Right? So that's a full decision. Who are you actually going to buy for? And come up with a little rule for yourself. Like, okay, I'm only going to spend this amount on my in-laws this year. And is that going to be okay? Allow it to be okay. You could even have a conversation with them if it's something less than what you've spent the year before. It's okay to be open and honest depending on what's going on in your life, or if you're trying to change things. If things are different, it's going to naturally feel really uncomfortable. Okay, so if you can't make a list either, that's fine. But that's another really good step to help you make a plan for who you're actually going to buy for. Because if you have a budget and now you know who you're going to buy for, that dwindles down the amount of actual money you can spend on each person. It gives you the perspective to understand what you can actually spend and what makes sense without feeling like you're going overboard. So those are some prerequisites, but not required. I know it says prerequisites because it would be so helpful. It just is. It's super helpful. But to make a full decision when you are buying something for your own home, and let's use kids for an example. Think about what you're buying and does it have a home in your home already? Does it have a place to go? Is there a place for it to live? Because like if it's a Barbie dream house and you have to build it, where is it going to go? Is there space in your children's room? Is there space in a closet? Have you decided where that thing is actually going to live? Because oftentimes we get these things and then we're like, it's fine. It'll just absorb into the life that we're already living. But what if you actually thought about it? Because right now we're having so much trouble figuring out where things go and being able to find things. Adding to that is going to make it more difficult. When we continue to buy without thinking ahead and making this a full decision on what we're bringing into our lives, we're adding to the chaos we are trying to unhide ourselves from. We are going to continue to put ourselves in a position where we have to make so many more decisions. I know with stockings, I often go a little crazy. I love fidget toys. I think fidget toys are the greatest, but do you know how many fidget toys you have? Also, side note, I think it was Laura Hope, who was a guest a couple weeks ago. She uses the term hand candy for fidget toys. Brilliant. Freaking love it. So when you're thinking about hand candy, do you actually know what fidget toys you have already for the kids? Is there a space for all the fidget toys to go? Is it realistic to continue to buy more? You get to decide. I'm not judging you here. I want you to think about this. And this could be the time that you're like, whoa, I never really even thought about this. I probably have way too many fidget toys, and that's maybe something I don't include this year. Cool. Or you're like, oh my gosh, but I have no idea what fidget toys we have because they've literally been absorbed into the clutter that we already have existing. Okay, cool. Also that. You could be thinking about this in so many different ways. As long as you're thinking about it, that is it. I'm just giving you another thing to think about because when you add more to this, say you buy 5, say you buy 2, that is 2 more decisions you now have to make on the things in your home. Okay, let's switch. Let's think about something that you're buying for yourself and your spouse for the kitchen. Maybe you're like, we're going to get an air fryer. This is the year. Air fryer is it. I can't wait. It's going to be so awesome. Okay, where is it going to go? Do you have a space for it? Where is the air fryer going to live? Can you put it away? I know for me, I have to have things put away. That's not for everyone. Some people like to have it out. For me, we use our air fryer all the time. In the kitchen we have right now, it's so small. We can't put it away. It's very hard for me. And it's fine. It's living out and we're living with it. We wanted the air fryer more than we needed to put it away. And it's one of the only things, like we don't have a crock pot. We don't have anything else because there's really no room for anything else. But if you think about the life you want to live with less chaos, are you willing to put something else out on the counter that's going to take away the space that you have to cook and to feel like you can breathe in this area that you have? You get to think about that and you get to make that decision. You can also start to think about the things that other people purchase for you. Do you have people that buy presents for you? Do they ask you what you want? And do you say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's totally fine. Maybe you don't know what you want. And that's a whole nother thing. I would ask you to start think about what you want now. Is there something for your business or for work that could help you? Is there something, for life that could help you? Maybe you need a self-care day where you go to the spa or you get a massage. There's so many things that you can ask for. It's just about starting to brainstorm and adding it to the list of things that you think of endlessly. You're welcome. There's another thing on your to-do. But no, seriously, when we don't ask for what we want, we oftentimes get things we don't need because people still want to purchase things for us without having any guidance because they still want to show how much they love us. And without us knowing what we want, we often get things that we don't want. And then we have to make decisions on them.
Let's take a quick break.
If you're enjoying this episode, I have a quick favor to ask. Could you take just a minute to leave a review? I know. Every podcast asks, but here's the deal. Your review helps other ADHD brains like ours find this show. Plus, reading them seriously makes my day. So if something in this episode has helped you, made you laugh, or even made you feel seen, let me know by leaving a quick review. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you more than you know. Now, back to the episode.
So then you're keeping this blanket because someone got it for you and you're like, well, someone just got it for me and I can't let it go, but I don't really like it. What if they come over and see that I don't have it anymore? There's a very good chance that they forgot what they got for you as soon as they bought it. That's one scenario. But you also have those relatives that could come over and be like, where's that thing you got for me? If you don't have it, oh, well, you must not love me anymore. Okay, well, that's them and not you. That is them having their own thing that they're now projecting on you. But yes, we also hold that near and dear because guess what? We're people pleasers and we want to make everyone happy. So we keep silly things in our house without thinking of how it really truly impacts us, only how it impacts that one person who might show up once a year. Very interesting. So when we're making full decisions in our home, we not only have to make full decisions on the stuff leaving our house or staying, but also the things that we're bringing into our home. So even when you're sitting there and you're like, you see something on TV or you're like, oh, there was that one thing that I wanted to get that one time. Let me see if it's available now. Add to cart, click, purchase, whatever. Oftentimes it's because it fills a need right there in that moment. I know when I'm feeling stressed out and I'm overwhelmed, I will often think about where I could go shopping so that I can feel better. It's something I've done my whole life. And because of the work I've done and the stuff I've gotten out of my house, it allows me to go into these situations. Like I can go to Home Goods now and not buy anything. Believe it or not. Do I want to buy things? Yes, absolutely. Sometimes actually even just going in and seeing all these things allows me to feel really good because I can now say no to it and say, that's not going to fill up my life. I now notice that when I go and I spend money like that and I come home, I see those things get absorbed into my home. I can almost see it behind me if you're watching me on YouTube. It's like this big mountain of stuff that's like, oh, you brought us new things and I'm going to eat it all up. And where's that candle I bought? And where's that new organizing bin I thought was going to solve everything in my life? When you start to make full decisions, you're making full decisions not just on the stuff that's leaving, the stuff coming in as well. It's full circle. Another part of the full decision making is asking yourself, is this trade-off, the amount of money that I'm spending on the stuff that I'm bringing into the home, is that worth it to go into debt per se? Maybe I didn't set a budget and now I'm saying, okay, is it worth it to go into debt for 5 more fidget toys? Is it worth it to go into debt for 3 rainbow pie dolls that are probably going to get absorbed into my daughter's room in 10 minutes? Is it worth going into debt for a slime kit that I know is probably going to bring myself a lot of anxiety? Those are the little things that can start to help you make better decisions when it comes to helping your kids. One thing I've been reading a lot about is having goals for your money. So I had Lindsay, who's a financial therapist, on my podcast earlier this year, and I'm going to have her on again. I also have been reading The Financial Feminist. Amazing. Such good information. But one thing that keeps coming up as I'm reading these books is knowing where you want to go. Like understanding what your big goals are, because it allows you to start to think about some of the choices you're making with a little bit more clarity. When we have ADHD and we're in this constant fight or flight state and we're scanning our environment for threats, we're looking for anything that makes us feel uncomfortable and finding a way to make us feel comfortable again. One thing we do to make us feel more comfortable is buying stuff. Buying stuff is naturally a feel-good thing that we do. As we do that, we're running away from feeling the uncomfortable feelings that we're feeling in the moment. Do you feel uncomfortable spending money around the holidays? But you're going to put it on a credit card anyway because you want to fill up everyone's cup. Yeah, but like, where's the discomfort coming from? That's interesting. Like, in sitting with that, it's okay to feel uncomfortable, right? Because we're talking about the messy middle. This isn't just about, I'm going to be organized in a weekend or a week or just a month. This is about actually making changes for the future, which feel really uncomfortable. So when you think about the future and you think about what your goals are, does buying another dress-up outfit for your daughter when they already have 18 really make sense when you could put $10 in an investment account for them? I don't know. You get to decide. You get to make all these decisions, but a lot of the time we haven't made any decisions on what we want, on where we're going, on why we're doing it, on what we're seeking, on if we're okay being uncomfortable or not. We're just avoiding it and hoping for the best. And at this point, hoping for the best has not gotten us far. Not with ADHD, because our brains work differently and we can't hope for the best anymore. If we just hope for the best, we're going to continue to fall short. We're going to continue to beat ourselves up, and we're going to continue to live a life with clutter surrounding us. And what's important to remember is that this is a journey, and it's not my journey. You listening to this is your journey. I have my journey. I am on my journey, and I am messy middling it up over here. But you're on your journey. And so if this helps you understand things a little bit differently to maybe buy one less present this year, cool. That's progress. If this helps you start to think, wow, what if I had a budget and what would that look like? That gives you some freedom this year. Also really amazing. And if this starts to help you think a little bit differently about the stuff that you bring into your home, really awesome. Just starting to think about it is really, really powerful. As much as we don't think so, because we're thinking about all the things all the time, but eventually we do take action. And when we take action again and again, maybe we don't do it every day, but we do get used to coming back to the start of what we want, then we start to see real change in our life. The truth is you could start anywhere, but the action is the most important thing here, and that you continue to take action. And it doesn't feel good, and it is chaos. It literally is. And that's why I coach women through this process, because I've been there. I've done it. I want you to know that there is peace on the other side of the chaos. You can make it through. And I don't think you should do it alone. And if coaching doesn't make sense for you right now, find a community that can support you. Find people who also want to be on this journey with you. I bet you lots of money that there are other women out there that are dying to spend less on Christmas, that are dying to spend less on the holidays. They're dying to do less during the holidays. They are dying for someone else to say no with them. But we are so comfortable being in this chaos that we have created for ourselves. We are surrounded by all these decisions that we can't make decisions on. In fact, we avoid them. We run away from them. We're very scared of them, myself included sometimes. Okay. We're not alone in this being scared of making decisions. But when you make a full decision on just one thing, you start to see how powerful making full decisions in your entire life can be. It starts with organizing. Maybe that is where you start, right? On one item in your home, figuring it out, but it adds into your email clutter. You start to see work a little bit differently. You start to see the events that you're saying yes and no to a little bit differently. Full decisions are everything. It is everything. So I will be talking about your why. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how that influences your decisions. This isn't just a one and done thing. There's a reason why I have a podcast with 3 seasons now, because I have so much to share. As I always say, the perfect place to start is right where you are. You actually have no other choice. You've got to start right where you are. Pick up one thing and make a decision on it. Make a full decision and look at your cart and say, is that even worth it? Make a full decision on the stuff you're bringing into your home as well. You can be organized and have ADHD. You absolutely can. And yes, social media will constantly tell you you can't, because it is hard. Executive function makes it so damn hard. And constantly being in fight or flight also is really, really hard. But when you notice and you start to change your beliefs around it, you see how there is a path for you to come out on the other side better than you could have ever imagined before. If you haven't listened to all of my podcasts, I'll tell you some of the changes that I went through before I got to this point. I was living in Boston. I decided to quit my job and I moved across the country, and I met my husband, which was really freaking awesome. But also I did it with no money and my credit score was very low. Then after I worked in corporate and leadership for over 9 years, I quit. I started this podcast, but during that time, I stopped drinking. I quit drinking completely. I am actually, as of this podcast, I am over 3 years sober, which is so darn cool to say. In addition to that, I lost 120 pounds. I did change the relationship I had with food, which actually makes a lot more sense to me now that I have ADHD. I also got diagnosed with ADHD during this time. I'm building a business. I left the corporate world and I'm building a business, which honestly, it's very scary, super scary. I want to run away from it a lot, but I also keep coming back which is also important because I love what I do. Because I also sold everything in my house and moved across the country with my family. I actually got rid of a ton of stuff before I did that. I actually got to the point where I had a perfectly manicured closet and my pantry looked awesome. And I loved the office that I delivered this podcast from. And then I realized what I wanted changed. And my husband and I agreed on what we wanted next. And here we are. So we are now in the process continuing to build my business. My husband is seeking to find a new job, and we are going through another messy middle. And guess what we just started doing? Meal planning, which is something I have been avoiding forever because for so long, I'm like, it's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for me. And then finally, I'm like, what I'm doing now is not working for me. If I don't stop and change this, I won't be able to do it. What allowed me to actually stop and be able to meal plan was deciding I was going to do it, deciding that I could do it, and starting to do it. And like, it's not as simple as that with ADHD, but everything else has been leading me up to this point. I have changed in so many other ways to adjust my life, to live a better life, to live a life where I could see a future for myself and my family where we're living the best life that we can, that I am now here. It's the messy middle. But that's why I coach, because I know that you are capable of it too. And if you're starting from scratch, welcome. You can do it. Just kind of sucks, but it's also so worth it. I want to offer another perspective on organizing as well and making a change for yourself. In the country that we live in right now, I live in the United States. A lot of what's happening on the news and even with my own family feels very much out of my control. It feels like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs and nothing is coming out. And the only thing I have control over right now is myself. The things that I do in my house, the ways that I interact with other people, showing kindness, doing the little things that will make an impact on others. So when the world feels like it's in its own messy middle, I'm using this as a very uncomfortable time to remind myself that I'm growing through it. And with every little step I take, I'm taking a step to make this world a better place for my family. And I'm doing that by showing up for you in this podcast. I'm doing that by showing up for my family, by showing up for my friends, my husband, and for my girls. When the world feels like it's burning down and there's a whole messy middle, and honestly, I don't know that we truly know what the vision is. At the end of the day, it doesn't feel like I'm growing, but the uncomfortableness that a lot of us are experiencing right now is growth. But if we sit there and we do nothing and we just experience all the emotions, it's going to feel worse because things aren't changing anytime soon. What we can control is ourselves, and we can control what we do in our own homes. But that comes from understanding what we want in our lives, making some full decisions, and starting to take action. But not all at once, making one decision at a time. If you know what you want, start taking action towards it. If you don't know what you want, start taking action anyway. Just one thing, because action breeds clarity and will allow you to start to understand what's next. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. It is something I'm honestly very passionate about. I'm so inspired by the people who have done this work before me and have allowed me to interview them on this podcast, but also who've empowered me to stand up for the things that I believe in and have allowed me to see ADHD in a new and different way. And in a way that helps you understand what's going on in our damn heads, because I'm telling you exactly what is happening up here. And you're going to have really bad days, and you're going to have really good days, and you're going to have days where you truly need to show up and just do the bare minimum. And that's it. No matter what, we've got to keep going, and we've got to keep going together. So let me know how this podcast has impacted you. I'd love to hear from you. It would mean the world to me. And I hope you come back next week. I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for listening to Organizing an ADHD Brain. Just remember, I am not a doctor or a mental health professional. Everything I share here comes from my own lived experiences or my professional experience coaching other ADHD humans. If you need medical or mental health advice, please reach out to a licensed medical professional. What you hear on this podcast is for support and education, and how you use the information is completely up to you. For more resources, free downloads, and different ways to work with me, whether through coaching or the community, please go to organizinganadhdbrain.com. And don't forget, the perfect place to start is right where you are.